Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn how to differentiate between movement along a demand curve and a shift in the demand curve. Ready to jump in? To understand this difference, we need to remember what the law of demand says. What does the law of demand says? When the price increases, the quantity demanded of a good decreases, holding everything else constant. Or inversely, when the price decreases, the quantity demanded of a good increases, holding everything else constant. Since the demand curve is the graphical representation of the law of demand, along the demand curve all other factors affecting demand remain unchanged, and the only variable that changes is the price of the good or service. For example, let's start at point A. At price P1, the quantity demanded is Q1. If the price decreases to P2, the quantity demanded rises to Q2. This means we move along the demand curve from point A to point B. If the price increases to P3, the quantity demanded falls to Q3, moving along the curve from point B to point C. So, movement along the demand curve happens only when the price of the good or service changes. Now, when does the demand curve shift? If something other than the price changes, the demand curve shifts. The demand curve can shift to the right or to the left. A shift to the right happens when something increases the quantity demanded at every price level. And a shift to the left happens when something decreases the quantity demanded at every price level. So you might be asking, what are the factors that can affect demand? The main factors are income, price of related goods, expectations, and tastes. Now let's look at some examples. Let's start analyzing how a change in income affects the demand for a certain good or service. There are goods where an increase in income increases demand, and goods where an increase in income decreases demand. Normal goods are those where an increase in income leads to an increase in demand. For example, organic products and branded clothing. Inferior goods are those where an increase in income leads to a decrease in demand. For example, instant noodles and bus rides. So, if consumer income goes up, the demand for organic products increases, and it shifts to the right. But if income falls, it has a negative impact on the demand for organic products, and the demand shifts to the left. For inferior goods, it is the opposite. A rise in income has a negative impact on the demand for instant noodles. Then, the demand curve shifts to the left. While a drop in income, it increases the demand for instant noodles, and the demand curve shifts to the right. Now let's look at how the price of related goods impacts demand. If you're enjoying our content and want to help us grow, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and drop a comment. There are goods or services where an increase in the price of related good or service has a positive or negative effect on its demand. Substitute goods are goods that can replace each other, where an increase in the price of one leads to an increase in the demand for the other. For example, margarine and butter, Uber and taxis. Complementary goods are goods that are consumed together, where an increase in the price of the one leads to a decrease in the demand for the other. For example, peanut butter and jelly, cars and gasoline. An increase in the price of margarine, according to the law of demand, reduces the quantity demanded of margarine. The consumer will substitute margarine for butter. That is, the demand for butter increases, and its demand curve shifts to the right. A decrease in the price of margarine increases the quantity demanded of margarine. The consumer will substitute butter for margarine. That is, the demand for butter decreases, shifting its demand curve to the left. An increase in the price of peanut butter decreases the quantity demanded of peanut butter. Since peanut butter and jelly are usually consumed together, the demand for jelly falls. That is, the demand for jelly shifts to the left. On the other hand, a decrease in the price of peanut butter increases the quantity demanded of peanut butter. Since peanut butter and jelly are usually considered as complementary goods, the demand for jelly increases. That is, the demand for jelly shifts to the right. Now let's talk about expectations. Expectations of changes in the near future can impact the demand today. Let's say you read a news report that oil prices are expected to rise. How does that affect today's demand for gasoline? If you expect oil prices to rise, you'll also expect gasoline prices to go up too. So you'll fill your tank now, increasing today's demand for gasoline. So the demand curve for gasoline shifts to the right today. Now, if the expectation is for a drop in the price of gasoline in the future, you might wait to fill up later. The demand for gasoline falls today, shifting the demand curve to the left. Now, let's talk about changes in taste. For many years, eggs were considered harmful to health, but recently, after some studies, eggs started being seen as a superfood. Consequently, people started consuming more eggs. That is, this news changed tastes and had a positive impact on egg consumption. At each price level, consumers demand more eggs. Therefore, the demand curve shifts to the right. Now, let's analyze another example. New studies indicate that ultra-processed food increases the risk of cancer. Will this have a positive or negative effect on the demand for ultra-processed food? It will have a negative effect. Therefore, the demand for ultra-processed food decreases and shifts to the left. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you'll know when new videos are posted.